Napoleon Bonaparte is one of the most influential and controversial figures in French history. He rose from a humble background to become a military genius, a political leader, and an emperor who dominated Europe in the early 19th century. He is admired by some for his achievements, reforms, and legacy, but despised by others for his tyranny, wars, and mistakes. Was Napoleon Bonaparte a hero or a villain in French history? This video will examine both sides of the argument and try to answer this question. Before we delve into the debate, let us first introduce who Napoleon Bonaparte was and what he did. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 in Corsica, an island that had been recently annexed by France. He came from a noble but poor family and received a military education in France. He showed great talent and ambition in his career and rose rapidly through the ranks during the French Revolution, which began in 1789 and overthrew the monarchy and the feudal system. Napoleon distinguished himself as a brilliant commander in several campaigns, such as the Italian campaign of 1796 to 1797, where he defeated the Austrians and their allies, and the Egyptian expedition of 1798 to 1799, where he tried to cut off British trade with India. He also participated in the coup of 1799, which ended the chaotic and ineffective Directory government and established the consulate, with Napoleon as the first consul. He consolidated his power by rewriting the constitution, winning popular support through plebiscites, and defeating his enemies at home and abroad. In 1804, Napoleon crowned himself as the Emperor of the French and embarked on a series of wars against the other European powers, who formed various coalitions to stop his expansion. He won many decisive victories, such as Austerlitz in 1805, Jena in 1806, Friedland in 1807, and Wagram in 1809, and created a large empire that included most of continental Europe, either directly or through allied or dependent states. He also reformed the administration, the law, the economy, the education, and the culture of France and Europe, and promoted the principles of the French Revolution. However, Napoleon also faced many challenges and setbacks, such as the naval defeat at Trafalgar in 1805, the Peninsular War in Spain and Portugal from 1808 to 1814, the invasion of Russia in 1812, and the Wars of Liberation in Germany and Austria in 1813. He was eventually defeated by the combined forces of Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria at Leipzig in 1813, and again at Waterloo in 1815, after a brief return from his exile in Elba. He was then banished to St. Helena, a remote island in the Atlantic, where he died in 1821. Napoleon can be seen as a hero for several reasons. First, he was a brilliant military commander who won many battles and expanded the French territory and influence. He defeated the powerful coalitions of European monarchies that tried to crush the French Revolution and restore the old regime. He created a large empire that stretched from Spain to Russia and brought glory and prestige to France. He also introduced many reforms and innovations in the army, such as the conscription system, the divisional structure, the corps system, and the use of artillery and mobility. According to historian Andrew Roberts, Napoleon was the greatest general ever, whose battles are still studied at military academies throughout the world. He also argues that Napoleon's empire was not oppressive or exploitative, but rather a force for modernization, emancipation, and progress. He cites examples such as the abolition of the Holy Roman Empire, the liberation of the Jews, the spread of the metric system, and the promotion of meritocracy and education. Second, he was a visionary leader who modernized France and transformed the society and the state. He consolidated the principles of the French Revolution, such as equality, liberty, and fraternity, and codified them in the Civil Code, which is still the basis of French law today. He established a centralized and efficient administration, a merit-based bureaucracy, a national education system, a national bank, a tax system, a road network, a canal system, and many public works. He also promoted the arts, sciences, and culture, and sponsored many projects and institutions, such as the Louvre Museum, the Arc de Triomphe, the Legion of Honor, and the Institut de France. According to historian David Bell, Napoleon was the man of the Enlightenment, who sought to sweep away the vestiges of feudalism and create a rational, modern state. He also claims that Napoleon's reforms had a lasting impact on France and Europe, and that many of the basic aspects of modern French identity and nationhood, including the sense of belonging to a centralized, uniform, and progressive state, owe a great deal to Napoleon. Third, he was a progressive leader who respected the rights and freedoms of the people. He granted religious tolerance and civil rights to the Jews, Protestants, and Muslims who were persecuted under the old regime. He abolished feudalism and serfdom and granted land and property rights to the peasants. He encouraged trade and industry and supported the development of the middle class. He also tried to spread the ideals of the French Revolution to other countries and supported the nationalist movements in Italy, Germany, Poland, and Greece. According to historian Stephen Englund, Napoleon was the champion of the common man, who sought to create a new European order based on the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. He also contends that Napoleon's policies had a positive effect on the social and economic conditions of the people, and that he improved the lives of millions of Europeans, especially the lower classes, by breaking down the old barriers of privilege, hierarchy, and superstition. Napoleon can also be seen as a villain for several reasons. First, he was a ruthless tyrant who oppressed the people and violated the principles of the French Revolution. He abolished the elected assemblies and the free press, and imposed a strict censorship and a secret police. He ruled as an absolute monarch and crowned himself as an emperor. He ignored the rights and interests of the people and used them as tools for his personal ambition and glory. He also betrayed his allies and friends, and executed or exiled his enemies and rivals. According to historian Adam Zamoyski, Napoleon was the dictator who trampled on the ideals of the French Revolution and imposed his will on the people by force and manipulation. He also argues that Napoleon's empire was not beneficial or progressive, but rather a system of domination and exploitation, which drained the resources and the blood of the conquered nations and aroused their resentment and resistance. Second, he was a warmonger who caused millions of deaths and suffering. He waged constant wars against other countries and dragged France into a series of costly and disastrous campaigns. He invaded and plundered the resources and wealth of the conquered lands, and imposed heavy taxes and conscription on the people. He provoked the resistance and hatred of the nations he oppressed, and sparked the rise of nationalism and patriotism. He also faced the opposition and coalition of the other European powers, who eventually defeated him and restored the balance of power. According to historian Charles Esdaile, Napoleon was the conqueror who pursued his own glory and interests and brought misery and devastation to Europe. He also claims that Napoleon's wars had a negative impact on France and Europe, and that he destroyed the lives of millions of Europeans, especially the soldiers and the civilians, by exposing them to the horrors and hardships of war, and by undermining the stability and the prosperity of the continent. Third, he was a megalomaniac who made many mistakes and miscalculations. He overestimated his abilities and underestimated his enemies. He ignored the advice and warnings of his generals and ministers and relied on his own judgment and intuition. He failed to adapt to the changing circumstances and challenges and repeated the same errors and blunders. He invaded Russia in 1812 and lost most of his army in the harsh winter and the scorched earth strategy of the Russians. He escaped from his exile in Elba in 1815 and returned to France for a brief comeback, only to be defeated again at Waterloo and banished to St. Helena, where he died in 1821. According to historian Paul Johnson, Napoleon was the gambler who risked everything and lost, and brought ruin and disgrace to himself and his country. He also asserts that Napoleon's mistakes had a disastrous effect on France and Europe, and that he wasted the opportunities and the potential of the French Revolution, and left behind a legacy of chaos and conflict, which haunted the continent for decades. Napoleon Bonaparte was a complex and contradictory figure who had both positive and negative aspects. He was a hero for some and a villain for others. He left a lasting impact and legacy on France and Europe and influenced the course of history and civilization. He is still a subject of debate and controversy and a source of inspiration and admiration. Whether he was a hero or a villain in French history depends on one's perspective and interpretation, and there is no definitive or simple answer to this question. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video can enrich our knowledge. Please like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video.